Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Wow, look at this room. We did it. We fit everyone in here. Thank you so much. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. My name is Natalie Martin. Really pleased to be here. I'll help moderate things and get things going. Before I do, I just wanted to share, thank you so much for coming, for making the journey, for being here in person. Thank you to the media that's here in person covering this milestone. Following the formal program today, we will have a Q&A for media. Please note, we're going to start with media questions from people in the room that have made the journey to be here. And we do have a lot of folks that are actually joining us by Zoom. So then we're going to do some Zoom questions. At this time, though, out of respect for everyone's time, we do ask that all the topics, all the questions stay on topic, please. We will not be taking anything other than IDC questions. With no further ado, I'll pass it over to Chief Logan. Please seat.
Hadi. Good morning, everyone. So I want to welcome everyone to our traditional, ancestral, unceded core territories of the Lheidli T'enneh. It is my pleasure to be here on behalf of our members, our council, and our administration. I specifically would like to recognize my council colleague, Miranda Seymour, newly elected council, who has worked incredibly hard to arrive to today's monumental event. I'd also like to thank and recognize our elder of Lheidli T'enneh, Marcel Gagnon, and somebody whose heart and soul goes into everything for justice. And also the BC's First Nations Justice Council Chair and tremendous advocate, Corey Wilson, and Honorable Terry Young, and the Superintendent of Prince George, RCMP, Darren Rempel. They say it takes a community to raise a child, but it takes everyone to realize truth and actionable change. We know that arriving at today's takes a team of people behind the scenes to bring everything together. And we know it would be impossible to bring everyone together for this event. So to those who have been involved at every level, thank you for your time and your dedication and your efforts and the honesty and to getting us to this place. As a first of its kind strategy in BC, we are eager to see the positive outcomes that this type of support can drive to Indigenous peoples at stages in their personal journeys. We are incredibly pleased to have this facility in our territory, the first one in Canada. And we are proud to stand with our partners and deliver this new center. And it is my great honor to be able to introduce our elder, Marcel Gagnon.
Oh, I was a bit nervous, but after listening to Chief Logan, I've settled down a lot. This is a historic moment, I suppose, in all of Canada to have a program like this. There's a lot of work went into having things get to this point. A lot of thought, a lot of hard work, and a lot of dedicated people. My name is Marcel Gagnon, and I'm a 76-year-old elder from Lheidli T'enneh, the territory you're in. I'm one of 20 kids from the late Margaret Gagnon. Today there's 4 of us left out of the whole family, and I'm the oldest one now. When they asked me to get involved with this program, I didn't hesitate for a moment. I said, absolutely, and I'll bring what I can to the table. And all I can bring really is my life experience and the things I've learned. I've worked in corrections both provincially and federally for getting on 30 years now. I've seen and I've met a lot of men and women, and I started to see commonalities in their struggle and what they were up against to live what we would call a healthy, normal life. And in all my research, I had to go back to my own self and look at my own life. The similarities I saw in those men especially, the struggles they were going through. There's so much to it. It's not just a poverty issue. It's not just an addictions issue. It's so many things and so complicated. And how do you work your way through all that? I think we've assembled a team here that can do that. I just want to share a little story with you of one of the greatest lessons I ever learned about the struggles and the importance of spirituality or ceremony, if you will. I was born with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And the only way that people back then, I'm turning 76, but the only explanation back then was a spiritual, faith-based explanation. And I remember as a little boy hearing my mom's friends talking about me as I was standing in the room with my teeth all crooked and everything. And hearing them say, "Margaret, what's the matter with that boy? Take him to a medicine man. He'll fix him." So I spent most of my life believing that the afflictions I struggled with, the learning disabilities, the impulsivity, the addictive behavior, everything, all those things were a spiritual thing, that it was bad spirits that I was saddled with. I was getting in my older years, in my 60s maybe, when I finally met a lady who took me on her journey, a beautiful lady named Key. And she, in such a gentle way, she introduced me to the world of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And I started to learn about it. I got diagnosed in Victoria. That gave me so many clinical answers to my struggles. And it wasn't bad spirits. There was a clinical explanation for it all. And the relief I felt. Maybe a lot of people won't feel that relief, but I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders that there was an explanation for this. The only way I could combat that feeling of being possessed by these spirits was when I drank. I didn't notice my teeth all crooked. But I learned the greatest lesson of my life. The clinical and the ceremonial, or spiritual, if you will, have to work together. And I think that's the part that's been missing until this program came along. We married the two. And in my heart, I truly believe that the marrying of these two viewpoints, if you will, is the path that we have to be on today. To get the healing out there. Our purpose is to lower the recidivism and the overrepresentation of Indigenous people in jails. I believe in my heart this program is the program that's going to do that. But it cannot be done just out of the center alone. We need the help of all the community, the housing people. Everybody has to come and join together. That's the only way it's going to work. I want to thank the people that I work with, the team that I work with, for being so patient and inviting me to be part of this whole thing. I could name names, but the list would go on forever. But there's a few of them in here right now, and we've been working on a beautiful song that we would love to sing for you. And that song was written by the Louis family from Lheidli T'enneh, which is a reserve west of us. And I believe one of Louis family is becoming part of our team. So I'm going to ask the diversion singers if they would come forward, please. And we'll do this song for you. You want to join us? I hope we're not too loud. Would you like to take over, Miranda, and introduce the song?
Yeah, sure.
Introduce us.
Donna, today. Erin Patterson, Miranda Seymour, Tanya Stump, Christiane Kearns, Marcel Gagnon, and Bruce Allen. And we are very honored to be able to sing this song written by the Louis family. It's an all-clan song, and it's called Lheidli T'enneh.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. They talk about not following animals and children, but I think perhaps following brilliant songs like that, as it was going, it makes me think of why are we here? The reason we're here is to ensure that every Indigenous person can find their song and can play their drum and become who the ancestors made them be. And so many of our people can't. So that is why we're here today and why this is so incredibly important for all of us. And thank you, Chief Logan, for always welcoming me to your territory. Very grateful for that. And thank you, Elder, for the song and for all the work that you've been doing with our community. It's been fantastic. And not only here, but we have our Justice Center, we have the Diversion Center, and all of the work that you've done. And I think also leading by example and being able to share your story and share is something that's incredibly important. We also have today, of course, Minister Terry Young. Grateful for you to be here today, and I know we want to continue to work with you and work forward to making safer, stronger communities. That's our goal as well, and we know with the full inclusion of Indigenous people that will happen. And thank you to you too. Thank you for the work and the hard work over the last year with our team you and your members have put forward. And we know there's been challenges between Indigenous people and police officers and RCMP over the decades and, you know, probably since the beginning, really, let's be honest. But there is great when you work together in bold and courageous ways and have a goal, the same goal in mind. then that's how change happens. So we really appreciate you being here today as well. So I'm Corey Wilson. I'm chair of the BC First Nations Justice Council. I was gifted the name from my dad, Kamhinis Lheidli T'enneh, on his passing in January. And my dad and my family have been longtime advocates for justice in this country, for Indigenous people in this country. And the one thing that I've known from the time I can remember is that Indigenous people are just as amazing, just as talented, just as capable as any other people in this country. And I know for a fact this country will be stronger, will be better, will be safer, will be with Indigenous people fully involved and fully included. That's what makes the difference. It would be great if there wasn't a need for this center, but the reality is there is a need for the BC First Nations Justice Strategy, 25-point strategy if you haven't looked at it, with 43 lines of action. And it is about changing the system. People often say the system is broken. The system isn't broken. The system's working exactly as it was designed. Just as the education system is working exactly as it's designed. The healthcare system, all of our systems are working exactly as designed. Of course, there have been changes and improvements with Indigenous people being consulted and being fully involved in making these systemic changes, but there are so many systemic barriers and racism and discrimination that happens for Indigenous people that has led to us being at the negative end of every socioeconomic indicator. And it's not acceptable anymore. It has to stop. It's almost 2026. We have countless studies, countless reports, countless things out there that shows how to make these changes happen. We have to actually begin to action it. And with the people at this table, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing in partnership and in collaboration, is addressing an issue that has been there for so long. We know that there's diversion. Diversion is an option in this country, but it hasn't been equally applied to Indigenous people. Indigenous people haven't been given the same opportunity for access to diversion, which must happen. And I know that our team's going to be working with your team starting on Thursday, helping train RCMP officers to better respond and understand what diversion is, to be able to work together. We need to do that. And, you know, often people say diversion is a get out of jail free card or it's easier. I don't know, but anybody who's grown up with an auntie or a dad like mine, it is not easy if you make a mistake. And our cultures and our systems are about making the person whole. We have to ask ourselves why there's the overrepresentation, and every single person, not just the actors in the system, but the actors and every one of us in this country has an obligation to make the place and space you occupy better and inclusive of Indigenous people, and of course of others as well. In this case, we're talking and focusing on Indigenous people, whether that's the education system, the healthcare system, the whatever system has to include and involve Indigenous people, and we have to ensure that we have equal access. And by doing that, we know that we will have safer communities. We also know if you're purely on the fiscal end and fiscal responsibility, this center will save. We already have 20 people in our center. We have, with our Indigenous justice strategy and our justice centers around the province, which we've been able to create with incredible support from the province. We've got our provincial leads here. I've got another council member, Boyd Peters, here with me as well. But in working in partnership with the province and the federal government, we have already saved people's lives and we've already changed people's lives. And if you want to be a bit crass about it, we've saved the government and the taxpayers a lot of money as well. So because it's cost $282,000 to keep somebody incarcerated. And if they have children, you know how much it costs to keep their children in care, and all of the ancillary service that are involved in that. That's an Indigenous woman. An Indigenous man is about $152,000. But more than that, it's the right thing to do. So we need to make sure that we get at the root causes to ensure that Indigenous people don't continue to come in contact with the system. We need to get at the root causes and support the whole person to be able to find their song and play their drum and to be able to follow their dream. And that's what we look forward to doing. I don't think it'll be easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but if everybody is willing to do their part and be committed and have bold and courageous conversations, particularly the times when we don't agree, because we won't always agree, But what we know for a fact at the Justice Council and with our justice centers and with the support of the federal government and province and this center is that this will change people's lives. This will is fiscally responsible, but more than that, it'll lead to safer, better, stronger communities. And we will have Indigenous people be able to, will change the statistics. We know the answers, we just need the support to continue doing that, and we invite all of you to support us with on this journey that we look forward to continuing to do. And I will now turn it over to Superintendent Rappel. Oh, sorry, to Minister Terry.
It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, thank you for being here today. It's an honor for me. I wanted to fly it up. Not every day we give weakness to a good program that actually makes us all safer, and not just by addressing the symptoms, but addressing why we're here in the first place. I'm honored to be here on the territory of Lheidli T'enneh Nation. I hope I got that right. I practiced 3 times. And today is a milestone. I think it's the first step to a more just, inclusive, and compassionate justice system. Prior to being in provincial politics last year, I was a Vancouver police officer for 30 years. I spent 4 years in the downtown east side, walked the beat. I was also overseeing community and Indigenous relations. People in the downtown east side that I knew when I was there had names. You see the pain, you bear witness to the sufferings, and nothing more hopeless than somebody who's cut off by their families, their culture, their community, and give them up hope. And self-medicating with drugs on the streets and have no home to go to. And they give up. And that's really, when you see that at the end of the line, and I sat there and across the North Shore, you see West Vancouver, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the country, and you have downtown east side. And you question why, how do we get here in the first place? When I was running for office, people said, when we get in, there'll be no crimes, be no homeless people, they'll be gone. And I questioned, how do we do that without a plan? And this is a plan. And I talked to my colleagues in BC Corrections. We have to address the fact that in Prince George here, only 16% of people are Indigenous, but over 60% of the incarcerated people are from the same community. Frankly, those numbers are not acceptable. We need to do something about it, and we're doing it here. And for the province, we invested $100,000 initially from the ministry to look at a pilot program. And it's so encouraging today to see that. And I also know, I'm really appreciate the fact that the RCMP attachment here, the OIC, Officer in Charge, you not only come here because it's an event, you believe in it. We talk about this. This is important. And more importantly, the same reason I got into provincial politics is we give people who might not have a voice at this table, will bring their voices and concerns to the forefront because they cannot be ignored. They're not improving based on the status quo, and the status quo has to change. And I also want to thank the BC First Nations Justice Council. I know Corey and Mr. Peters for 3 years, and to tenacity. It's not easy to change the system. The system is very set in its own way, and sometimes it doesn't really react well to change. But we have to change this based on the evidence that we see out there. We're not getting better. We're not going to be able to wrest our way out of people being homeless, mental health concurrent, and drug addiction. We need to have other options, like a downtown east side court in Vancouver, to keep options, not just to, like Corey said, not a free pass and not hold people accountable, but to give options at the pre-charge phase with the RCMP, this program's about, and the post-corrections. How do we reintegrate people, connect them back to some connections to be meaningful for them to reintegrate into our society? I used to live in California, which spends more money on prisons than education. I can tell you that doesn't always work, or some works at all. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we address the issues upstream when they're all floating around and passing us by, and we go, oh, gee, we should do something about this. It's not enough. Like, we can't arrest our way out of people being homeless. We can't arrest our way out of people mentally not well. We need to get them the help and the assistance. And more importantly, we have to give them hope And today, you're very touching for me. I think we are doing that. I'm very proud to be part of that. I'm always going to support this because that's the only way we're going to get our community safer for everybody. And I think we have a moral obligation and a responsibility to do so. So you're transforming lives. We're shaping justice in BC. I'm very, very proud to be part of this achievement. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Superintendent Darren Rappel. I'm the OIC of the Prince George Detachment, and I've had the opportunity to work with the BC First Nations Justice Council for over a year now on bringing this program to fruition today. I've got over 25 years in policing experience, and myself and my colleagues know full well of the difficulties out there for First Nations individuals and others that are caught up in the criminal justice system and can't seem to get a way out. And the work we've done here is a part of that solution. It might not be the whole solution, but it's certainly a step in the right direction to provide us with a new set of tools to work towards that goal. So I'm very proud to support the development of this Indigenous Diversion Centre. It's a meaningful step towards community safety, accountability, and healing. The centre will create a space where compassion and accountability work together. They'll give officers an alternative for certain types of crimes to move away from the typical justice system to one that connects people to culture, to support, and a chance to make a lasting change. The Indigenous Diversion Centre will provide culturally grounded pathway away from the criminal justice system, helping individuals address root causes of trauma, addiction, and mental health challenges. And by diverting individuals at the point of police contact, this initiative aims to reduce repeat offending, strengthen community trust, and improve safety outcomes for everyone. Our officers see every day that enforcement alone does not solve complex social issues. Working alongside our partners here at the Diversion Centre, we're helping build solutions that will keep people accountable while keeping communities safe. The RCMP remains committed to reconciliation and to supporting approaches that respect Indigenous self-determination, reducing stigma, and create lasting positive change.
Great, thank you. So we're very grateful today that we'll be signing a letter of agreement with the RCMP, and somebody will bring that up to us, and really grateful that you have not only been supporting us, but really actually championing this cause, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. So we'll sign the document. I think even gave us a fancy pen to sign it. Lefty. Oh, we should have switched sides. Boyd's a lefty too, our council member. Is that good, Zach? Natalie said we had to hold it extra long.
Yeah.
Extra long.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
This is wonderful. So as I said, we're going to start with some questions from the media who are here in the room. Thank you for making the journey of being with us today. After we have a few questions here in the room, we'll go over to our Zoom callers. Please, everyone, please stay on topic. We will not be taking any questions this time that are not about the Indigenous Diversion Centre. If you do ask a question that's off topic, we'll have to move to the next reporter. Please state your name, your media organization, and who you want to direct the question to, and then ask your question. You can have one follow-up if time permits. Awesome. Yes, go ahead, Hannah.
Hannah with CBC. I believe this will be for Corey, but I'm wondering, you said there's 20 people within the diversion center now. I'm wondering what the capacity is and if you anticipate there being a wait list?
Well, I think with anything like this, I mean, again, as was mentioned by the minister, there's 63% of the people incarcerated in Prince George are Indigenous. So I assume there's going to be a big wait list. And the 20 are in post-charge right now, and we're going to be getting now with pre-charge. So I think the capacity, sadly, will be a wait list. But again, if we continue to work together and recognize the great work that happens and that we know this works, hopefully we can continue to attract more money and more. It's not even always about money. It's also about everybody working together, everybody working in the same direction and doing the same, leveraging all of the resources we have and working effectively and efficiently together.
Thank you so much.
Do you have a follow-up? Okay, next person.
I'm Matt Hillier. I'm from the Prince George Citizen. directing this question to Mr. Terry Young. I was wondering, would you recommend this programs like this in other BC communities? This is obviously a first of its kind program. Do you think it could be effective elsewhere?
Well, I think across BC, different cities, I mean, I traveled to 10 different cities and provinces to look at what they need. And I heard a lot about secure care, about additional mental health, drug addiction treatment, and also about, I used to sit on a restorative justice collective in Vancouver. So I think given on, we'll best assess after, each community is different. So the short answer is yes, obviously, if there's a need, but obviously it's a close consultation with the community at large here, like we have consultation with Prince George to make sure that's applicable for them, and it's going to be effective going forward. So, yeah.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, my follow-up, or what are some of the issues facing BC that you think this could help impact, not just here in Prince George province?
Well, I mean, you go back to community safety, the issues are housing, obviously. You can't, people are homeless, so you provide housing is really first good step. We have concurrent mental health and drug addiction treatment on a volunteer basis, capacity for that, and a small percentage of people who are dangerous to themselves or others. We have secure care, which is coming up, also expanding in areas such as Prince George to make sure that the communities are safe out there. So those are aspects of it, and also for poverty reduction. What kind of training programs do we have for people to reintegrate, like what you're doing here, post-correctionals? How can they get the skill sets to actually reintegrate into society? So those are the things we're looking at. And also the other ones is championed by our Attorney General, looking at bail conditions and criminal code reforms, federally speaking, to look at making sure we keep the small percentage of repeat offenders out, not released back into the community while they're waiting disposition in courts to keep our communities safer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question. Amanda? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Amanda Follicosgood. I'm with the Lheidli. Corey, you touched on this, but I don't know if Elder Gagnon or Chief Logan want to comment. You mentioned the pilot program, and I'm wondering if you have specific examples of people who have seen success through that program and why it was helpful.
Well, I think certainly at the Justice Council, we've seen success in all of the programs that we've been doing, not without hiccups or whatnot, but we have a 25-point strategy, and we've been implementing a lot of the strategies, and we know that we've changed people's lives and saved people's lives. In terms of the diversion center, we can get you some more specifics on that. I don't personally know the 20 people that we have seen, and now, of course, opening up to pre-charge diversion as well, but definitely we have seen substantial change in Prince George in terms of the people that our Justice Centre has worked with. So we have the Justice Centre, and now we have the Diversion Centre. So to be able to combine those and to, again, continue our partnership with the RCMP. And don't forget, we're kind of like the new kid in town, but there have been incredible organizations that have been working very, very hard in Prince George since the beginning. Like there are all kinds of organizations, service organizations that have been working to support Indigenous people. But what we need to do is do a holistic support and all work together and ensure that Indigenous people. So we do also have there's our media team beside you, storytellers that we're starting to tell these stories. So we'll be happy to share some of those with you.
Can I ask a quick follow-up?
Yes.
You mentioned the Indigenous Justice Centres that I know have been opening in communities, certainly throughout the north. How will they work together with the diversion program?
In partnership, again, so we have 15 centres, and that was from a partnership with the province. We're very grateful to the province that supported us in opening the centres, and some federal support as well. So to be able to open the centre, and the centres are a place for an Indigenous person to go and find the support. First Nations, Métis, or Inuit, go there and find the support that they need. And in there, our team works with all of the people there, but also the existing organizations, and each center is reflective of the nation and the territories that it's on. So they all everything will work together, and that's the point. Is again, we maximizing the resources that we have, maximizing the relationships that we have, and you can see this time next year there'll be many more partnerships. Because it's about becoming a good member of the community and establishing those partnerships and seeing how we can all work together. It's not about us taking over. It's not about anybody reinventing the wheel. It's how are we person-centered and focus on the individual and help the individual make changes in their lives and provide that support, whether it's making connections with their home community, with the elder or whatnot, but being able to focus on the person, provide them the wraparound supports that they need, whether that's housing or food security or getting their children back from care, but providing whatever it is that they need so that they can, the balance can be restored in their life, and then they can follow their own path.
Anything else? Yes, go ahead.
Darren Main, Vista Radio here in Prince George. What are the next steps with this? I know you had mentioned some training, Corey, but where do we go from here?
Well, I think that's the team is here. Our team is here, so they'll be happy to talk more about that. But definitely beginning the training, letting people know about what is possible and what the options are and how we move forward, and continuing that educational journey for everyone. Again, everybody's at a different point in that path of understanding Indigenous people and our history. So making sure that people are all moving in the same direction and giving them meeting again. So not like we meet our participants, but meeting everybody where they are. And I also work at British Columbia Institute of Technology, and what I know for sure is that when people know better, they do better. So how do we, and not everybody knows the right thing to do or doesn't have that experience. So how do we help people, give them the information so that they can do better and make different choices? So it's continuing in collaboration and partnership with our elder, with our First Nations community members, and continuing to work together and have a plan. And I know our team from the Justice Diversion Centre is here, and I know they have it all mapped out. So they'll be happy to continue to provide you with the ongoing plans that they have.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I come here today to represent the Métis Nation of BC. My name's Rainy Jaffe. I got a question for maybe Corey or Elder Daniel. We, as First Nations, we have our own culture, and the resources that go to the diversion center. Would it be adequate to suit everybody, or do we have to work on that?
This is often, and I'll let the elder talk, but this is often a question I get asked just simply about our justice strategy and our justice centers, is that I think if you think about what the goal is to make the person whole and to help them find that balance. So 90% of the things that have to happen in order for that to happen are not culturally specific. So but that doesn't mean that you ignore that culture. But the reality is we have many different elders, we have many different processes, we have 15 centers that all are different because of their location. So definitely we work really hard, and it's going to be an ongoing process. But the reality is somebody who's facing challenges, and there's standard challenges. So we deal with those standard challenges in the way that ensure that the person is adequately represented and properly supported. And then the external stuff and the personal, the finding of their culture, that obviously is much more specific to the area and region. And that's something that we'll continue to build out as we just opened the last Justice Center in December. So we're still just building all of this. We have on our staff, we have all people from all different cultures and things. So we always want to be sensitive to everybody's individual culture, and we will continue to do so. I don't know if Marcel, if you had.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I know I traveled all the way to Alberta to find a ceremony, for example, that suited me. Unfortunately, so many of our communities have lost that spiritual, ceremonial component that by design. So it doesn't really matter where a person goes. When I got to Alberta with the Blackfoot people and I witnessed the ceremony, the Sundance ceremony, I felt connected. When I first heard the powwow drum, even though my people never grew up with a big drum, I felt connected. I think a lot of it is it's epigenetic, if you want. There's something in us that's there that we awaken to when we're in that environment. It doesn't say that because I chose that ceremony that someone else has to, but there's nothing saying, hey, I went to a ceremony that worked for me. So we're very, very open and diverse to whatever the participant is looking for.
Do you have a follow-up question? Any other questions in this room? Last call. All right, just. Yeah, we have one question from the Vancouver Sun that says, what are the eligible offenses right now that qualify for the pre-charge program? And that's a question for Superintendent Rappel.
I don't have the list.
Those are non-violent offenses, so offenses typically along the lines of fraud, mischief, shoplifting, things along those natures. That will be the type of offenses we will focus on.
It doesn't look like there's a follow-up. Last chance. Well, that's all the time. Oh, follow-up. Susan from the Vancouver Sun is asking, how are the principles of justice? How is this part of the principles of justice, is what the question looks like it is. We'll give her 1 second. We'll give you one chance to clarify the question, Susan, if you get a chance to. All right, I think we can close it off now. We're right here at 1 o'clock. Perfect timing, everyone. Musi Cho for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.